The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
I call this meeting to order. Today is January 11th, 2023. It is now 10:01 in the morning. Good morning to everyone who is joining us today in person or virtually. We welcome you in this new year and in participating in this meeting. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Oscar Puig Corvée,
Present.
Councilwoman Maureen Porras,
Here.
Councilwoman Digna Cabral,
Present.
Vice Mayor Rafael Pineiro,
Present.
Mayor Christy Fraga.
Present.
Mayor have quorum.
Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, where Councilwoman Porras will lead us.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I believe we have the invocation today by Rabbi Rashavitsky. Nice to see you.
Good morning.
Morning.
Just a short thought. Biblically, the day that we celebrate New Year's corresponds to the day when man was created. That means after 6 days that God, quote unquote, worked so hard, developed, created an entire world, only on the day in which he created the human being did he call for celebration. Why? Because when you don't have the man, the woman, you don't have the person, as God says, to work the land, to actually be productive, then everything has no purpose. So in a sense, even though it's already January, whatever, it's already well into January, but in a sense, I want to say Happy New Year, and I want to say congratulations, because in a sense, we're really starting today. This is the first time we're getting together, all the elected officials, and congratulations, and going to, for the first time, actually start to implement things. I know a lot of work was done, like in the 6 days of creation, a lot of the work and preparation was done until now, but this is really when we're going to start to get productive. So I want to use this opportunity to wish you Mazal Tov. Now, what does Mazal Tov mean? It's Hebrew for congratulations, but literally translated, it means good luck. So whenever you start something new, you don't just congratulate and say, now it's time to go to sleep. Now, when you really need God's blessings, now you really need the good luck to get along, to in harmony do all the things you want to do, all the things we should do, all the things that God wants us to do. So I pray to Almighty God that indeed, together as a body, as a family, and families don't always get along 100%, I can tell you firsthand. But at the end of the day, we're one family here, sitting up here, and together we get to implement all the beautiful good things for this city in good health, in good charm, and in happiness. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you, Rabbi. Agenda order of business. Do we have any additions, deletions, or deferrals on the agenda?
Madam Mayor, I have 2 items to pull off the agenda. The first item is 6E, which is the red light cameras. I would like to completely pull that off the agenda. I need time to review that. I just got here and it's a pretty big item. And the other item is a deferral. Actually, it's 8B, is a presentation from IT to February 8th. February 8th, yes. And it's 8B.
So I have 6E and 8B.
B as in Barbie.
Got it. Any other deferrals, additions from council? I do. I would like to pull item 9A for discussion. Okay.
Madam Mayor, this item will be placed at the end of the discussion item, so it'll be after item 9D.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Clerk. I will now open the public comment section of this meeting. This is your time to come and speak on any item that is on the agenda or is not on the agenda. Please use the allotted 3 minutes to be able to speak on these items. I will call your name. If you haven't filled out one of these cards, please see the clerk and fill one out. You do not need to fill out a card to be called. I will call anyone who hasn't filled out a card at the end. Please, when you approach the podium, state your name and address for the record. And to start, we'll go with Mr. Christopher Lucine.
Good morning. Thank you so much. My name is Christopher Lucine, address 24601 Packing House Road, Homestead, Florida. And I'm here to speak about 6B, where I would like to thank for everyone here to giving us the opportunity to speak, especially Councilman Puig, his staff, and everyone at the HR at the City of Doral. We are here to bring a well-rounded and cogent program from the Florida Department of Education, where we are addressing professional and vocational needs for individuals in the community of Doral. This allows them to gain professional experiences to transition from post-education to a pre-employment field. The paid work-based learning experience allows them to gain opportunities that will allow them to succeed after education, where they can direct themselves to be successful in any field they desire. So again, I want to thank Puig, his staff, everyone here, and thank you.
Thank you, Christopher. We'll now call Richard Glutzak.
Good morning, everyone. Richard Gluckstadt, 4768 Northwest 114th Avenue. I'm going to start out with a quote from the Bible, James 1, verse 12. Blessed is the one that endureth temptation, for when they are tried, they shall receive the crown of life. All right, I'd also like to go over something that was addressed last month. It's ordinance number 2022-20, the Trump Endeavor 12. It passed 4-1. I think Pete Cabrera was the only one that voted against it. This is the expansion of the golf course with high-priced condominiums that are all going to be rented out, of course. And the money that's financing them is going to be from all the dark LLC gang members. So we don't even really know what that's all about. But I can guarantee you that it should be voted down. It's not going to improve our community at all. There's a saying that one of my wife's relatives told me when I was in Colombia one time. In Spanish, she said, because she's been here before. She said, Doral es una ciudad de todos, pero no es una ciudad de nadie. In English, it means Doral is a city for everyone, but it's not a city. Doral is a city for everyone, but it is not a city for anyone. That kind of means, you know, we have a very transient community here. You really don't know who's living next door to you because we have so many rental apartments here and a situation like that. We need a community that's going to put down roots here and improve the community because we love the community. And love is what everything is about. I passed out a letter to you. It was a letter written by Albert Einstein to his daughter. He said not to publish the letter for about 20 years. You can keep this, it's for you. And it basically says that love, you know, I'm paraphrasing, I'm just explaining without reading the whole letter. Love is the most important and it's the most powerful force in the world. He said, if we could make a bomb, a love bomb, the same way that we make a nuclear bomb, it would be the greatest force in the world. And it is possible, actually, to make a love bomb. We just haven't tried yet. Because all we have to do is use the same formula, E equals mc squared, and substitute one of the factors for love in the energy section. And we could probably cure all the evils of the world. So
Mr. Glusak,
please,
that's your time. Let's wrap it up.
I know.
Thank you.
So please go over this letter and read it. And just remember, we have to love our community first before we can fix our community. And we have to avoid the temptation that befalls us sometimes to do the best job possible.
Thank you, Mr. Glusak, for your words of wisdom always. And now if there's anyone who has not filled out a card and would like to speak in public comments, this is your allotted time. Any public comments going once, twice? Close public comments. Madam Clerk, next item.
Next item is a consent agenda. It'll be all of the items on section 6 with the exception of 6A and 6E.
Do I have a motion on the consent?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Vice Mayor Pinedo, second by Councilman Oscar Puig-Corbe. All in favor, say aye.
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 Madam Clerk, approval of minutes.
Next item, item 7, it'll be the approval of minutes, item 7A and 7B.
Do I have a motion on the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Vice Mayor Pinedo,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Porras. All in favor, say aye.
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 Next item, we'll go to presentations. Item 8A, Keep Darrell Beautiful Business Award.
Mr. Edgar, welcome to the podium.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayors, members of the City Council, Madam Manager, Mr. City Attorney, Madam Clerk, members of the audience. Edgar Estrada, Co-Compliance Director, here to present the Keep Darrell Beautiful Business Award, the first one for 2023. For the benefit of the new council members and also as a refresher, the Keep Darrell Beautiful Business Award is the Co-Compliance Department's opportunity to recognize outstanding private property that does a great job in keeping in line with the city's vision, the City Council's vision as well, of keeping Darrell beautiful. So basically, I'll just say a few words up here about the business that we're recognizing today. And with your permission, I'd like to invite the members that are here just to say a few words, and then if we can also take a picture with the mayor and the rest of the council.
Absolutely.
Perfect. So this month, we are pleased to recognize Vida Medical Center for their outstanding commitment to keeping Darrell beautiful. The property for which they're being recognized for is located at 2550 Northwest 100th Avenue. Vida Medical Center has been in the city of Darrell for 1 year. The property is approximately 47,000 total square feet, and the business has 50 employees. Vida Medical Center is a healthcare provider that strives to provide excellent chiropractic care to help patients reach and exceed their health goals. They recently decided to bring their corporate headquarters to the city of Darrell and have committed their time and effort to improving this particular property. Some of the recent improvements include repainting the exterior of the building, new wall signs, and adding new landscaping throughout the property. It is with great pleasure that we name Vida Medical Center for the Keep Darrell Beautiful Business Award for their continued efforts to keeping Darrell beautiful. And Madam Mayor and Council, the CEO, Sandy Lopez, and her team are here to accept the award.
Ms. Lopez, welcome.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sandy Lopez. I am the CEO for Vida Medical Centers. And right here, part of my team, COO Wendy Gall, Miladies Lopez, CFO, Rolando, CMO, and the vice president of the company, and also the main designer of the company, Enrique Lopez, and also my husband. We're coming from other cities. We've been in what we are in Homestead, Hialeah, and Sweetwater. And right now, we're so proud to have our main home in City of Darrell. Our commitment is to continue keeping City of Darrell beautiful, and we're very happy and proud to receive this certificate. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Come up for a picture. Yes? Thank you. Very nice. Thank you, Code Compliance, for that presentation and for continuing to keep Doral beautiful. We move on to the next item on the agenda, Madam Clerk.
We're now going into discussion items. Item 9A, a resolution of the mayor and the city council of the city of Doral, Florida, strongly opposing the proposed criminal court administrative order relating to bail and bond reform to the extent that the order will result granting many criminal offenders a release on their own recognizance without attending a first appearance hearing before a judge and without any monetary bond being posted, including offenders arrested for a wide range of crimes in Doral, such as city and county ordinance offenses, first and second degree misdemeanor offenses, and certain felony offenses, and further directing the city clerk to transmit a copy of the resolution to all municipalities in Miami-Dade County, the Fraternal Order of Police, the Police Benevolent Association, and the Miami-Dade County League of Cities, and urging all such entities to join the city's opposition to this measure and providing for an effective date.
This item is presented by Councilwoman Maureen Porras. Councilwoman Porras, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, everyone, and welcome. So this item, I really wanted to bring it forth, and it's really keeping in line with our commitment to prioritize public safety, which is what we really want to do here in our city, and we want to make sure that our community knows that that's our priority and our focus, or one of them, one of our main focuses. And this is a resolution to oppose a contemplated bail and bond reform that I fear may place dangerous and violent criminals back into our community. Now, over the last 2 years, and I'm going to make this very quick, our criminal justice agencies, such as the State Attorney's Office, the Public Defender's Office, the courts, and our law enforcement agencies have worked collaboratively to bring needed changes to our existing bail system. And obviously, these changes will help address a range of different things. However, the reform as proposed would also allow some dangerous and violent criminals, specifically those accused of non-domestic assault and battery, to be released without bond into our communities, which to me, it's very alarming. I know that our police officers, do a great job in preventing and stopping crime and apprehending criminals, and I think their job would be undone, honestly, if this were to happen. So, I brought this forth because, again, I feel that our public safety is paramount, and even the State Attorney's Office has also raised this concern and asked that there be greater input from the community, us, the cities. Even though we're not going to get to decide that, we get to voice our concerns, and we are the voice for everyone here and all of our residents, and I believe that we need to make that known. And so, I urge everyone to consider this. Again, it's right now in draft form, so it hasn't passed, and I think it's the time to do this. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Porras. Any discussion from my colleagues?
I just have a comment. Thank you, Councilwoman Porras, for bringing this up. And like you said, ahead of time, before it goes really into effect. So we are raising our voices so everybody will know where we stand. So thank you for bringing this up.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you, Councilwoman Cabral. Next time, please wait to be recognized once you have a comment. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Any other comments from my colleagues?
Yes.
Councilman.
Thank you. I want to support Indito, everything you said, and Councilwoman Digna. I think it's very important, especially not only for the community as a safety reasons, but also after our police officers risk their lives to have the same criminal that they are facing back on the streets. It's like a slap in their face after the hard work and risking their life like they do every time. So thank you for bringing this item up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Vice Mayor Pinedo, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank as well Councilwoman Porras for taking the step. And at the end of the day, is what we always have been discussing. I mean, is the importance of safety in our community. And that's going to be always the approach. So I just want to say thank you for actually moving this item forward, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion to approve.
Do I have a second on the motion to approve? Motion approved by Vice Mayor Pinedo, seconded by Councilwoman Cabral. Councilwoman Porras, great first item.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Please call the roll.
I have a motion to approve made by Vice Mayor Pinedo, seconded by Councilwoman Cabral. Vice Mayor Pinedo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Cabral.
Yes.
Councilwoman Porras.
Yes.
Councilman Puig-Corvée.
Yes.
Mayor Fraga.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Next item, item 9B, a resolution of the Mayor and the City Council of the City of Doral, Florida, approving employment agreement with Edwin Lopez as police chief, providing for authorization, providing for implementation, and providing for an effective date.
Madam Manager, this is your item.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, everybody. This is a very important item and a very important position in our community. Being with the city of Doral 14 years previously, I care truly, deeply for our police department. They mean a lot to me, so this decision wasn't made lightly. To determine, I'm gonna go through the process just so that everybody knows the kind of process I went through. I think it's important that we're transparent. To determine a proper, effective, and efficient process for identifying and selecting an ideal candidate for the position of Chief of Police, I evaluated several factors, including past practices, charter provisions, and personnel policy. According to past practice, the Chief of Police has been appointed directly by the city manager. Candidates from outside the organizations were previously found through professional networks without a formal posting or structured selection process. Furthermore, the customary industry practice when recruiting for an executive level position that requires unique and extraordinary abilities, such as the Chief of Police. Following my review and in the best interest of our city, I took a similar approach. I've decided that Chief Edwin Lopez would join the Doral team and lead the Doral Police Department into the future. Chief Edwin Lopez's qualification and effective leadership will prove an asset to our organization. His trajectory as a chief of Miami-Dade School Police Department exemplifies the experience and knowledge that will be key in evaluating our Doral Police Department. Chief Lopez has over 20 years of experience in law enforcement. Under Chief Lopez's leadership, Miami-Dade School Police Department grew to the largest school-based police department in the United States of America with almost 500 sworn-in police officers. This proven track record is in successfully hiring and retaining quality officer will be beneficial to Doral as our community continues to grow, require more police presence with an emphasis on community policing and forward-thinking law enforcement strategies to keep our city safe. With that, I would like to appoint Police Edwin Lopez. I am welcoming the council. I know that all of you have had an opportunity to meet with Chief Lopez, which I appreciate you all meeting with him and talking and understanding the processes as well. But I'm welcoming any open questions at this moment. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Manager. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Vice Mayor Pinedo. Do I have a
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Porras. Any comments or discussion? No comments? Madam Clerk, please. Madam
My mic.
Councilwoman?
Yes, I do have a comment. May I, Madam Mayor?
Councilwoman Cabral, you have the floor.
Great. I just was going through the agreement that we're giving our new appoint police officer, and I have a few questions when it comes to that. And I also have a few questions for him, so I don't know if he will be able to answer some of my questions.
I'm okay with that.
Madam Mayor?
You have the floor.
Chief Lopez?
I just wanted to ask us a few questions when it comes to his experience. I know that we have met before, 2018 actually. So when I was still president of the Parent-Teacher Association of my school, at that time I even remember those pictures that we had with Principal Bouye in Ronald Reagan when I met you at that time. So I know that you have done a great job when it comes to our schools with our kids, and that's something that I'm grateful. Even though I know that, you know, certain things were said during campaign for some of the members that were saying, you know, that the schools were with drugs and all those things, even though I didn't agree because I know the great job. And now we have you here, even though some of those comments were done with who was prior our representative from the District 5. But I'm very happy that you're here and that you will be one of the candidates that we're also appoint, even though all those comments were said about you before. But I wanted to know a little bit of your experience. I know that you have 20 years of what our manager was reading, 20 years of experience in our schools, but you know that we have many other issues here in our city. So it's not just confined within our schools, but also when it comes to commercial burglary, when we have cargo theft, robberies. So I just want to know, you know, if you have any experience when it comes to those things, because I know that those are also big issues that we have in our city that have been already resolved, but it's things that we constantly see. I mean, I know that you have a large department, in the police, and also I wanted to know, because I know that to know how is it that you will handle when we have emergency when it comes to hurricanes, because you know that we have confronted that. That's why we have our EOC here in our city. Also, I would like to know the crime rate. I know that there's nothing published really for us to encounter the crime rate when it comes to the schools. It's not published because I was trying to find something and I couldn't find anything. So how is it that you deal with the crime rate, to have that statistics and know, how you will be able then to change some leadership within your department?
Okay, thank you for that question. First, good morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, and the manager, and the rest of the city leaders here. I'm very grateful for this opportunity to be part of the Doral family, and to jump right into some of those questions. Absolutely, those are great questions. Yes, I have a track record of a lot of experience, but every police department is different. There's nuances that impact Doral that may not impact the city of Miami or Hialeah or Coral Gables or Pinecrest. But the unique situation with the Miami-Dade Schools Police Department that we have so many school sites in 25 different municipalities. So it's a unique position. As a matter of fact, some of my counterparts, other police chiefs from other agencies, tell me all the time that I have the toughest police chief job, just because there's not one single factor more important than protecting kids at all in this community. I mean, whether it's an active shooter in a school or even an active shooter in the community. Whether we look at Las Vegas that had an active shooter in a country concert, where we look at Buffalo, New York, where they had an active shooter in a supermarket, whether we look at a Parkland or Sandy Hook or Columbine over 20 years ago, active shooter in a school, it can happen anywhere.
Yeah, and thank God it's less and less that it's been happening. Thank God.
So we've developed an expertise in mitigating some of these instances and working with other agencies. One of the first things I did as a police chief was sign a memorandum of understandings with every single police department in Miami-Dade County, including the city of Doral. Yes. There's over 20 schools in the city of Doral. The previous chiefs in the history of Doral, I've had relationships with most of them, and we've partnered to implement best practices for schools. So the same best practices that impact, protecting city place. It's the same thing that applies to protecting a park or a business. It's the same strategies. Obviously, there's nuances, but an effective police chief doesn't have to be the expert in every single category.
Sure,
a police chief has to be a leader, a visionary, and surround themselves with individuals that may have that particular skill set of expertise. And that's kind of what I'm bringing to the table. I'm very passionate about safety and security. I brought my wife, she's amazing, and she's been my right hand throughout my career. So it's important for us as a family. I'm a father of a 7 and a 12-year-old. So, safety in general is something that I pride myself on. I've been in constant communications with the acting chief over the last week. That's important to me to be able to get valuable input from the previous administration as well. I've spoken to the previous city manager, Mr. Organ-Vitas, as well, because I've built relationships with these individuals over the last few years that are critical to my success. We were able to not only attract but retain police officers in the Miami-Dade Schools Police Department, over 350 of them in the last 4 years, which is one of my goals here. Often smaller municipalities like Doral and others are the training ground for other police departments. And one of my goals is to be able to not only attract but retain the men and women in blue in this city. We have an amazing police force in this community, and it's one of the main reasons that attracted me to join this amazing leadership team here.
No, that's been something, we agree with that. That's something that for me is very important, to be able to not just attract, great professionals on our city, but also to be able to retain those ones. And that's something that I always have brought up when we have meetings, when it comes also to the salaries, also, in conjunction with the PBA, to make sure that the contracts are fair, and that will be always, to take care of our law enforcement, because they're the ones there out there day to day. But I just wanted to be fair with everyone, and I wanted you also to have the opportunity to talk to us on your experience and what your expertise when it comes to our city. As you may know, we are elected to make sure that whoever is going to be here in our city are the ones that are going to be giving the best service to our community. That's what we're elected for. So I have a few questions, but this goes to our city manager when it comes to the contract. Thank you so much for answering and for your comments. And definitely, I welcome you as well. And like I said, we actually have met before in 2018.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's been a little bit more over 4 years. And I have worked with you before as a Parent Teacher Association, as a president of the Parent Teacher Association, Dr. Tony Bilbao. So thank you so much for being here. To your wife, too.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Lopez. I appreciate your comments and have full faith in you.
So, Ms. Manager, I just want to go over a little bit about the contract because I just have a few questions
Yes,
when it
ma'am.
comes to that. Because I was seeing some, the prior contract that we have with our police chief, Ubieta, before. So I know that there's some information that was sent after 7 o'clock last night. I would really appreciate if any other information that's going to be added to the agenda will be sent at least 12 hours before, because I came in at 9 o'clock when I saw the email, and I have less than 1 hour before the meeting to be able to go. And that was the police chief salary survey that was done. So I would really appreciate if things like this can be, a little bit ahead of time, because it will give me the opportunity for me to do my research, to ask any questions, even though I know that I have the opportunity to do it here on the dais. But, sometimes I'd rather just sit one-on-one and have some discussion instead of just bringing everything on the dais, and we save a little bit of time on the meeting.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. So one of the things is that I wanted to talk about the compensation. So I see that the compensation, and I'm just trying to compare, apples with apples, and to have a better understanding on the contract that we are offering our new police chief. So I saw that we have an increase on his salary of $24,000 more compared to the prior police chief that we have. So I wanted to understand why we're giving that raise of $24,000 when we already have passed a budget for this year, for our fiscal year. So I just wanted to understand why we're giving that. Also on section 5.2, here it says on the prior, it says that the employee shall be entitled to receive the same cost of living increase and the merit increase as granted to other non-bargaining unit. But we're offering in this new contract a 5 to 10% merit increase based on employee yearly evaluation, something that no other director have received up to a 10%. Not even our charter officials get up to 10%. I mean, from 5 to 10%. Not even our charter officials. So they're always capped within 5%. So I also would like you to please to explain to me a little bit about that increase, and also from 5 to 10% as well.
Absolutely. I'm going to start with your first question, if that's
Sure.
okay. So for the raise of the 24,000, we did a salary study, and this goes across the board. I think that we are also on the low end of salaries across, starting now with the chief, but we're going to be evaluating all directors and all positions citywide. As we now have a huge shift due to COVID, there's been a lot of increases. A lot of people have adapted to new ways of living. And so we want to make sure that we're competitive and that we retain and have great talent from the very beginning. So that was the purpose of that. Looking at salaries across Miami-Dade County and Broward County, I thought it was a very competitive offering. We have Coral Gables, which is making $235,000. It's a very demographically Coral Gables, ma'am, yes. Demographically, is very similar to the city of Doral, and so I wanted to make sure we were competitive from that aspect of it as well. I'm not going to compare to the city of Miami Beach or the city of Miami, where that is not comparable in demographics and population with our city. So I wanted to make sure it was fair in that aspect of it. But I'm going to be working with HR overall, with all department heads and all positions across the board, so that we're comparing to cities that are similar in demographics to the city of Doral, and that's one of the things that we were doing. I know you're saying that it's 24,000 increase from our department, but he's making a little bit more in the school system, so therefore it wasn't a big increase for that. I don't want to say that publicly, even though it is publicly. It's probably like a 5% increase for him from here, actually less than 5%. From what he's making in the school system. So that was my thought process on the salary and increasing his salary there. But please know that it's going to go across the board, looking at everybody, due to what the shift in in what is going on nationwide due to COVID and salaries. I know it's been difficult looking at the city and the department heads and the positions, trying to even have people apply and retaining them and keeping them. And I think it's important that we care about our city, and people are the first thing that matter to me. And we need to make sure that we're compensating them correctly in all matters of that aspect.
Yeah, no, and that's perfect. I mean, I'm being always an advocate, even when you were a director here, when we have our strategic planning, that you know that I was one of the ones that always pushed for the Evergreen study. So we will be able to make sure that we compensate our directors and we be competitive as well. But the thing is that what worries me is that this is a director position, even though I do understand that it's a very, very important position. But giving up to a 10%, you understand that close to in 4 years, if we keep increasing that, he will be making over around $300,000, even much more than the city manager. So I just wanted to make sure that we are, making sure that it's a fair. And I just wanted to compare because I wanted to understand, we haven't been able to sit down and go through the contract with you before this meeting. So that's all my questions are coming because of that. And I have a few more when it comes to retirement, because I wanted me to understand, and also for our residents to understand why are we making this decision, because this is a very important contract. I know that you tell me that that's what you compare to the Coral Gables, even though the Coral Gables police chief there has over 20 years, of experience when it comes not only to the schools, but we're meeting, overall. And also he's been there for, I think, a little bit over a decade or so, if it's not my mistake or so.
Yes, ma'am.
So also, well, I was just going, comparing here and there when it comes to the, also to the automobile section. I mean, really the only difference that I see from the prior one is that he has the personal use within Miami-Dade County, and the neighborhood counties here is just said plain blank personal use. I don't have really any issues with that, but I'm just comparing the differences that I have seen. On Section 7, retirement, here I just have also another question when it comes to the, on the section when it comes to I understand that we give a 6% to our employees when it goes to the 401k, and also the city give a 12% as well. So that will be an 18% that they receive overall. But in this contract, for example, I understand that he will be receiving from the FRS a 3%, that's the other norm, and from the city a 27.83%. So that's the annual increase upon approval from the state of Florida. So that's something that is basic for all the different officers.
Correct.
But one thing is that we're on top of that, we're giving him the 457 refair compensation. Why are we giving this, when it's just a director, and not even the charter officials receive that as well? So I wanted to understand, why are we giving that as a retirement when not even the charter officials receive that?
We do receive that.
Oh, I'm sorry, that only.
Okay.
I'm sorry, correct.
I was like, we
that
do
only
receive
the
that.
charter. Sorry, I don't want to cross on the board on the sense that we have other directors as well, and it will not be fair for the directors as well. So where you're planning also to add that or to give the options for the directors, or how are you going to handle that?
You had a second question that I didn't have.
Sure,
So I want to go back to that real quick before we go to the 457 question, if that's okay. I do want to make sure, I am going to be fiscally responsible. I did sit with our acting CFO right now, and we discussed a lot of these conversations. So please know that as far as the 5 to 10% on the evaluation it's based on goals and incentives that were directives that were given that he needs to accomplish in order to receive that. Also know that there is a cap to his salary. He cannot go past the maximum, which, if you give me 1 second, I will look. The maximum is 225. So there's no way that he can reach 300,000 unless that's something that comes to council during budget or with a salary study evergreen. So he cannot reach $300,000. I want to make sure that was clear. There's a cap to everybody's salary in as it refers to any position in the city of Doral.
I mean, when I made the math, it's close to it when it comes, if he goes, to the 10%. It's just if he goes to the 10%.
Once he gets to 225, unless it comes here with budget, we increase that ceiling, there's no way that he can pass that. So please know that. I just want to make sure that's clear for everybody that he will not be getting.
No, sure. And I just wanted to make clear, like it is said it here. So in any case in the future, any resident will ask, what's, so we will have the right answer to give it to them.
Absolutely.
And also for them to hear directly from you as well.
Absolutely. No, and that's why I wanted to make sure that was clear, because the budget and our budget is very important to me. The reserves are really important to me, putting back money in the reserves, all of that. We're looking at that holistically. So I want you to know that I was being conscious of that as well, and that wouldn't be something that I would ever put the city in that position for. As it regards to your last question about the 457 and evaluating it across the board, that is also something that we're going to be looking at as well. For the 457. But I want to refer to, as far as the retirement, the reason that was considered is because previous chiefs in the city have been retired. So they have a retirement coming from somewhere else, and they've received the 457 from us. I thought it was only fair that they've received it previously from other chiefs, that we would do it for him as well, even though he's not retired. So the other ones have been retired and receiving it. That's how we were considering.
Mr. Attorney, do you have any comments when it comes to that?
Through the mayor.
Yeah, thank you. I will recognize the city attorney at this time.
The only issue I have is, and I have no issue, Mayor. I don't know that I agree that we would cap it at 225 reading the contract. The contract says that the employee shall be entitled. So my interpretation of that language is that he would not be capped by 225. He would be entitled to a minimum of a 5% increase every year if he meets his goals. If that is the intent of the city, then the contract should express that there is a cap, because my interpretation of that section would be that there is no cap, that he would be entitled contractually to a 5% merit increase every year.
Madam Manager, do you have a comment, or would you like to?
No, I don't know. That's the way we've always done it. I don't know if that's necessarily. So I guess if we want to cap it, we can cap it. We can put it in the agreement, or is it by the fact that we have a cap? And I would like to, if Maria can come up, Maria Jose, the HR director, can just clarify that so that we're clear. I don't want anything not to be misunderstood.
Yes, no, that's why we're going over it.
Yeah, that's why there's a minimum and maximum.
It's
That's
nothing against, you personally or anything. It's just for us, to make sure this is where we discuss everything, so we have everything clear, so we don't have later on also any of our residents to come back to us, and then ask certain questions.
Good morning.
Good morning.
To answer your question, the capping goes up every year, the salaries based on COLA.
Okay.
So the COLA is what raises the caps every year.
Not the merit.
Right.
Okay. So with COLA, he could pass a 225?
Of course.
But not with the merit?
Right.
Okay. Okay. I guess we can fix that. Yeah, we can fix that in the agreement.
Fixed, yeah.
Absolutely.
If then that will be then something that will be reflected then within the contract?
Through the mayor?
Yes, Mr. City Attorney.
The contract, I believe that we should always eliminate ambiguities if we can in a contract. So it would be my preference that if you are going to have a cap, that it not be subject to having to reconcile several documents when we have a written agreement that expressly addresses the employment agreement. He shouldn't have to guess. We shouldn't have to interpret. The contract should be clear and decisive.
Agreed.
So my recommendation is that if there is going to be a cap, that's only subject to COLA, that the agreement reflect that so that all the parties are clear.
Correct.
And I think that we can do that. And that goes for all of ours, honestly.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Another comment that I have, and I think for me, education is key. And one of the things that I didn't see within your contract, when it comes to Section 10, that it doesn't reflect there section what it was prior, or 10.2. So I would like to see if that will be something that you will be city manager and also him when it comes to that it will reflect that he will be also provided an employee with education incentive pay consistent, because I think that we all in our profession has to keep up, educated, and there's always so much to learn. So I think that will be also something important that also you will be also compensated if you need to go to do any type of course or anything like that, because I don't see it reflected here within your contract. So I think that that will be something that I would like to see also within his contract. So he would not have to take it out of his pocket if he has to go and have any education that he needs to receive accordance to the collective bargaining agreement. So I would like to see if that will be also added there for his benefit and for the benefits of all of us, because the more you know, the better will be the city.
Absolutely. I thought that was referred in the professional development, section 9.
Isn't on the allowances, so he will be able then to be compensated, or let's say he will be for when he's going to have any educational, any
Absolutely.
incentive pay.
We're
So I
in
would like
favor
to
of
see
it.
that too. I'm a true believer on education and for us to be improving every time we can. So I think those will be the 2 points.
Yes, it's
to
included.
Be
It's
able
in-
to be reflected on the cap, and also if it is reflected in another place, maybe we can reflect it on the allowances, because I think that will go accordances for him to be reimbursed later on for any course or
Absolutely.
anything that he will make.
It's in section 9, professional development 9.3, just so that you know that it was covered in there.
Yeah,
But we can put it in allowances.
Yeah, and in
that's not a
allowances,
problem.
yeah. So it will be, clear for everyone. I mean, we will be here, but we don't know when God called us, and we're not here. So
I
it's
understand.
clear for whoever comes, and take our position. This is not a position for forever. This is just for the time that we're elected.
Mayor, may I?
Councilwoman Cabral, have this concluded your comments?
I'm already done with all my comments, so yes, and they're all being answered, and I think that if we make sure that that is reflected with the contract, I'm good to go.
We'll do a recap at the end so the clerk
Yes.
has all the comments that have been made. Councilman Puig Corve, you are recognized.
Yeah, I'd like to ask the attorney a question.
Yes.
Mr. Attorney, do we have to have the acceptance of these changes by the person being proposed as a chief prior to, making a change in the proposed?
Well, the contract is the subject of a negotiation. However, before we can as you approve the contract, we would need a resolution by this council agreeing to the amendments.
Okay.
And then you can always ask our future chief if he's amenable to those.
Right, here in public.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to do that if we can.
Yes,
Madam City-
Chief, if you would like to come up, I know that he's in agreement with it. We've been having lots of conversations, but
Welcome back.
I will ask the question then, if I may.
Yes.
Would you agree to the changes that you're hearing here on the floor today to your contract, so we can move forward with this today?
I feel like I'm getting married again. I do. That's fine.
No kiss, though.
It's not, and through the mayor, I want to make this clear. This is not a decision solely based on finances at all. This is an opportunity for me, a unique opportunity to leave an entity that I love, that I have a passion for, and enter another one that can continue that growth. It's part of a leadership team with our elected officials, with our new mayor, that have a great working relationship from her time on the board. She's been a proponent of safety, and I saw that dynamic flair in her, as well as the new city manager with her energy and zeal, and the new members to the council. It's just and the experience of the returning ones as well. It's just a dream team. When I look at the possibilities of entering and this next phase of safety and security for this growing city, for me it's attractive. And I have a passion for that, and I can't wait to hit the ground with boots, man. I'm going to be out there with the officers in terms of protecting our community and knocking on doors and out at 2 and 3 in the morning on weekends. I have that energy, and that's my message to the men and women in blue. Get ready, because I'm going to be very involved. Thank you.
thank you, Chief. Thank you so much.
I just also want to say that I met with the chief and the manager, and of course, one of the things that caught my attention were a couple of the things that Councilwoman Digna brought up to the table. Meeting with the manager, she assured me that we will be within budget, which is what I am concerned with, and this is what we promise our constituents, to be fiscal responsible. So I will hold you to your
Yes,
to
sir.
your comments that you will be within the budget to be able to move forward with the new chief, who I like, and I wish him luck, and I hope that you bring all those energetic changes that you want to bring to the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Puig.
Thank you, Councilman Corbe.
You have my
Puig
word.
Corbe. Any other comments?
Mayor, yes.
Vice Mayor Pinedo, you are recognized.
Thank you. I also want to share that I had the meeting, the pleasure of meeting the new chief, hopefully and the city manager as well. And part of the conversation was salary, and I'll be honest and I'll be open with not only the residents who are here, but at the same time those that are watching through Facebook. I actually started the conversation saying that if we have resources to pay for lifetime pension system for elected officials, then we should have money to pay our police officers a decent, a better salary. So I will keep my word in the sense of not only I believe the chief of police deserve as a position to be around the same and average than other municipalities, and I want to corroborate some of the numbers that were provided by the city manager. We're looking at, for example, I know we already covered the city of Coral Gables, 235,000, Coral Springs, 206. If you take a look of Hollywood, 205, Pembroke Pines, 204, Coconut Creek, 194. So not only because we're speaking about any individual that is applying for or that is about to become the chief of police, but we're talking about at a department. And I was very clear on that conversation that not only because of we're appointing a chief of police today, but that we have to work together to make sure that the police department have what they deserve. And I do believe they deserve to have better salaries across the board. And again, if we have the resources for other things, I do believe the police department deserve better. And that is something that I always going to be very vocal about it. Having said that, I also want to share that when we speak about the residents and fiscal responsibility and what the residents were looking for once they actually came out on vote last month, they're concerned. They're concerned about safety. They're concerned about the lack of police presence. That's a reality that we're facing as a city. And that's why I believe we were elected. We were elected to work on the quality of life of our residents. And they're concerned. And that's why, regardless who the chief of police is, it's something that we have to address as a council and as a department. And yes, we have great professionals in the city of police department. We have great professionals in our staff. And again, it's not because we're talking about one particular individual. It's because I think it's the right thing to do as council, and especially looking forward in the best interest of the residents. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Yes, Councilwoman Porras, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just very glad that we're having a conversation around public safety today. It seems very fitting. I too am I met with our future chief to discuss the priorities and the needs of our community. I'm very excited about the energy and the motivation I think that Chief Lopez will bring. And I'm very excited to know that we're going to have that visibility in our community, which is what a lot of our residents wanted. And we want to make sure that we are prioritizing. And so I think by approving this, we're really, sending a message out to our community that we care about our public safety and that we're going to have, that visibility again, that in our community that's very needed. And I'm happy that the chief said he's going to be out there with our police officers, and I really do welcome that site. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Porras. I'm going to make a very brief comment. This is only in front of us to afford this chief the same contractual protections that have been afforded to other chiefs. This is the appointment of the chief is solely the decision of the city manager. And in choosing a city manager that I have full confidence in, I have full confidence in who she's choosing. And I happen to know Chief Lopez because at the school district I work closely to him, and policing and security and safety have always been my top priority. And when meeting with our city manager, when we walked in here, we were given a list of 102 vacancies in this city, employment vacancies, including part-time positions. That tells me we have a problem with retention. That tells me we have a problem with attracting talent. And that shouldn't be a problem because we have a lot of talent in this community, and keeping talent local is important to me. And so in discussing what was going to happen in developing a team here, she immediately said she wanted to look at the options of contacting Chief Lopez and knowing him from the past and other opportunities, and knowing that I had worked with him, asked my opinion. And I said, I think he's a stellar individual who has a passion for law enforcement, for public safety, for families, and for community. And I think would represent what Doral is and what our community is looking for today. What stood out to me when I saw Chief Lopez's resume was that he was able to attract and retain over 350 police officers in less than 36 months in building the police department, the largest police department in the nation. And knowing what I was walking into here in the city of Doral after knocking on many, many doors and talking to many residents was that presence was important. Building our police department to have safety and security, not only in our residential communities, but in our commercial communities, was a top priority. And so I gave all deference to our city manager, as is required by the charter, to make that decision, but understanding that we had the ability to meet with this person and anybody else she would want to consider and ask the questions. And I did. And I sat with him and I asked the questions. And immediately understood that to attract and retain and find the best qualified individuals, there was a commitment that needed to be made on being able to do that through a competitive format. And Chief Lopez made it very clear to me from the beginning this wasn't about money, because I too was concerned about the salary in studying what all of our directors were making, because not only just looking at the outside cities, I look at internally what is happening, because morale is very important to me, and I know it's important to our manager, and in building a strong team. And he made it very clear it wasn't about the money, that this was about coming here and making a difference for our community. And to me, that was extremely important. And so I think the chief could have gotten a lot more money anywhere else, to be very honest. I think that he could have been persuaded to go many different directions. I know he'd been contacted before. And so the fact that he came here for what he came for, to me, tells me that he is devoted and dedicated to building a professional team that is going to be out there doing what the community has asked for. And for me, that's why I had full confidence in understanding that we were going to be fiscally responsible. And I did question him about our department and where we could find savings, where it wouldn't affect the service that we were providing to our community, but looking at the top heaviness that could exist in a department like ours, being the size city we are. And so that's why I believe when speaking to the city manager, we talked about the merit and the COLA. And for me, it was important to have a performance-based contract. It wasn't just about providing a salary that was going to be attractive to different candidates that could have come from many different areas that maybe wouldn't have understood our city, but it was about a performance. I wanted to see performance. This wasn't about bringing someone out of retirement to come and work here and make this, something they were interested in. But this was about showing what you could do to build a department. And so that's why for me it was important when meeting with him, understanding what his perspective was on building that team in this department. So while salaries and fiscal responsibility is 100% on the top of my list of what we will be doing here in the city of Doral under this new leadership, and I guarantee you that that's something that we're going to be sticklers for. And while it has maybe not been in the past, it will be this in this administration. I know that in this particular position, we are making the right decision moving forward in trusting and respecting the decision of our city manager to choose the most qualified individual that will lead this department into what it needs to become to service our community. And with that, I would like for the clerk to call the question and we move forward.
Madam Mayor, before we proceed, I have a question for you. What do you mean that bringing someone from the retirement?
Madam Councilmember Cabral, like I said, if you would need to speak, you will be recognized. However, I think that we have exhausted this discussion at this time.
I still have questions, and I think that I have the right as a council member also to ask a question here in the dais, because I don't want to violate sunshine law asking you a question afterwards. But I just wanted to understand within your comments, what do you mean by bringing someone from retirement?
Well, all of our previous chiefs have been brought out of retirement.
And
to
what that
work.
means to you within your comments. I just want to understand.
I don't think that this is a forum where that question needs to be debated. I think that it's
do
pretty
so.
self-explanatory that we have brought previous chiefs out of retirement.
And what that
like
means.
it has been.
I mean, what that means to
They've
you is
come
something.
out
Is
of
that something negative to bring someone from retirement?
In this case, for me, I don't believe that our department needed to bring somebody out of retirement to do and to pursue the vision that we have for this community.
But why?
I believe
mean, there's
someone
nothing
who
wrong
is
that someone
currently building
There's
their
nothing
career.
wrong that someone comes from
Madam
retirement.
Councilwoman, you are no longer recognized.
Mayor, I mean, there's nothing wrong. I mean, somebody, if retirement, that means that they also have experience. I don't think that nobody has to be diminish their experience because they were in retirement. I don't agree with that comment. I just wanted to make sure that I recognize that everybody that will apply and have the professional capacity to it, that should also be someone that have the opportunity to have a fair recognition and bid if they wanted to apply. So I just wanted to put that there. I mean, I understand that you don't recognize me, but I think that as a member of the council, I have a voice too. And if I have a question, I think in a comment should be also respected. I mean, it's not just even you're the chair of this committee. It should not be only by the time that you recognize me or not. I have respect too, to be able to say what I have to say when I have to say it, because then that's not democracy. So I just wanted to understand, that your comment. I'm not asking for nothing wrong. I just wanted to understand what you mean by retirement, nothing else.
Councilwoman
Trust
Cabral.
me, I'm not here to fight anyone. I'm here to make sure that I, as a council member, as an elected official, as a resident, will be able to understand the comments that you make, or anyone here. And I'm open to anybody that would like to ask me on any comment that I may have to answer, on my best ability. That's all, nothing else. So we can, you can
Councilwoman
proceed.
Cabral, I think that we will discuss procedure at our workshop that's coming up. I will make sure you get a Robert's Rules of Order book so that you understand.
I do understand,
Excuse
and
me,
I know.
Councilwoman Cabral, but I have the floor at this time. And we were going to run these meetings efficiently following Robert's Rules of Order. The chair has the ability to run the meeting and recognize. You were recognized, you made your comments, you asked a question, I answered it. If you don't like the answer I gave you, that is your prerogative. However, you cannot sit here and question the answer that you have asked me for. So at this time, we are going to call the question and we will discuss procedures at our workshop, which I hope you will join us at.
I will make my comments on council comments then later.
I have a motion to approve the employment agreement inclusive of the amendments discussed in Section 5 and Section 9, made by Vice Mayor Pinheiro and seconded by Councilwoman Porras. Vice Mayor Pinheiro?
Yes.
Councilwoman Porras?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cabral?
Yes.
Councilman Poy Corbe?
Yes.
Mayor Fraga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Welcome, Chief Lopez.
To you.
Madam Clerk, the next item, please.
Item 9C, a resolution of the mayor and the city council of the city of Doral, Florida, approving a professional services agreement for legislative lobbyist services and authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Continental Strategy for a term of 1 year, providing for implementation and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This is my item. I will take it very quickly. I provided a memo with the backup and information regarding this item. If there is any questions, I will take them at this time. This is lobbying services for the legislative session coming up in Tallahassee, as been done many times before. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Like I said, all the information was in the backup. There is a representative here from the firm. Unfortunately, Ambassador Trujillo got his plane was grounded today due to the FAA system being down, and so he was not able to make it in time. He was in Washington over there, and he's on the phone, I believe. Ambassador?
Yes, I am. Good morning to everyone, and thank you for having me.
Yes, so the ambassador's on the line if there's any questions. There is a representative.
Yes,
Jimmy, right?
Yes, Jimmy's here.
Jimmy's here as well that can answer any questions. Like I said, I think this is pretty self-explanatory, and I will take any questions at this time if there is any from my colleagues or if there's a motion to approve.
To make a comment?
Councilman Puig-Corve, you are recognized. Thank you.
I want to welcome Ambassador Trujillo to our city, and hopefully he'll get assigned the job of representing us. I also want to thank Ron Book and Eddie Gonzalez, who has represented us before, for the great job they've done for the city. So hopefully, I'd like to welcome you, Ambassador, to our city, and hope that we can bring great things to the city of Doral.
Any other comments at this time from my colleagues?
Maybe
Mo-
recognize?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve on the table.
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Pinedo. Councilman Cabral, you are now recognized.
I definitely will vote. I mean, Trujillo, he was a state representative and someone that I have worked with him priorly, even before I was an elected official. The only thing is that I would like to see for next year that we make sure that we put our request to proposal, RFP, just to be able to, in order to guarantee, full assessment, that's all.
Do those conclude your comments, Councilman Cabral?
I'm sorry?
Do those conclude your comments?
Yes, it does.
Thank you. Any other comments? No? I will just make a quick comment regarding the RFP. When I came in, I immediately asked because I knew the legislative session was already underway. And so it is absolutely our intention, which is why this contract is for 1 year. However, the legislation session has already started. We have a lot of big projects we are going after funding for. I have a big commitment to be able to meet some of the goals that I have for this community. And there's a lot of legislative priorities as HOA reform is, home rule, that I know is important to this body. I've reviewed all the legislative work that has been done over the last 2 years. I reviewed what we received. I sat down with Mr. Trujillo, and he can make this these comments if he needs to. And I told him I'm expecting big results. And so we're going to work on those, and we expect to have you all in Tallahassee as well for days. So we can, I will be there a little bit before as well, working with Mr. Trujillo to make sure that we are getting the legislative priorities that are important to our city accomplished. So 100% we will make sure to procure this, but we had to hit the ground running. Walked in here and we really did not have a contract, and I wanted to make sure that we got a boutique firm that was going to meet to have. So with that, I'll ask the clerk to call the question.
I have a motion to approve made by Councilman Puig-Corve and seconded by Vice Mayor Pinedo. Councilman Puig-Corve?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Pinedo?
Yes.
Councilman Porras?
Sorry. Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Ambassador, for being on the line, and we look forward to seeing you here soon.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, next item.
Next item, item D, a resolution of the mayor and the city council, city of Doral, Florida, appointing a search committee for the selection of an individual law firm as city attorney pursuant to section 3.02 of the city's charter, providing the selection committee with qualifications, duties, budgetary information, and time frame, providing for authorization, providing for implementation, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This item is also mine. As you all know, throughout this transition, our city attorney provided his resignation letter and has been really great throughout this transition process. I commend him and I thank him for his time and his service to the city of Doral. In the meantime, I have been looking and speaking with him as well, looking at interim opportunities for new city attorneys. And so I did amend this item to include an interim city attorney position while the search committee convenes. So, Madam Clerk, walk us through how this item will happen, just because I know that there is 2 resolutions. We need to go ahead and appoint our committee members to start that process.
Correct.
And then we'll take up a second item to appoint the interim city attorney, which would take effect as of February 1st. So we'll take up the search committee first.
Yes, ma'am.
You can go ahead and just call each council member to appoint their member of the search committee as per the charter.
Okay. Councilman Puig-Corve?
This is the appointment. I don't have anyone yet. I will have someone by next week.
So I think for the resolution today, we have to have a name. What we can do, and I don't want to set this precedent moving forward, which is why I brought this today, we can put it on the zoning agenda.
Okay.
So that to give
Thank you so much.
more deference and time to my colleagues. However, I do not want this to become a common practice of putting items that are not zoning items on the zoning agenda. So I will just state that for the record. If there's if we could just keep going down the list, and then that way we have the resolution prepared for the 25th. Is that okay, Madam Clerk?
That'll be fine, or I could just defer this whole
they
item
send
to
you
the,
the
and they can,
names?
you
Okay.
can individually send me your appointee and I will add it to the resolution. That works as
Do
well.
I have consensus from my colleagues for
Yes.
that? Okay, so
Yes.
we will go ahead and send the names to have the search committee, but please, for the future, let's be prepared for this, just because I don't want to set the precedent of putting items on the zoning agenda, and this goes as a direction for our staff as well, are not zoning related. So then we will move to the second resolution of the appointment of the interim city attorney.
Correct, Madam Mayor, and I will read this into the record. A resolution of the Mayor and the City Council of the City of Doral, Florida, appointing Neighbors Giblin and Nickerson as interim city attorney and providing for an effective date.
Do I have a
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Vice Mayor Pinedo, second by Councilwoman Porras. If there's any questions, Neighbors Giblin and Nickerson, as well as Valerie Vicente and Ed Dion are here to answer any questions, and I am available to answer any questions as well. Otherwise, we can call the roll.
Madam Mayor, I have a question.
Councilman Oscar
To the attorney,
Pregore.
is this your last meeting? No. Or is the
Well,
next one?
well, Councilman, this will be my last meeting, and through the mayor, I'd like to just make one comment, which is simply to thank this council and thank the past council. It's been a tremendous opportunity and a wonderful experience, and I thank you all for that.
That's why I asked. Thank you.
But I will be at the Planning and Zoning meeting
Okay.
Yes,
on the 26th, I believe.
Yeah, 25th, 26th, yeah.
Councilman, if I may, the city attorney will be joining us for the planning and zoning meeting, and his effective final day will be February 1st when the new attorneys take over. So, and he's always welcome to make comments, absolutely. So thank you very much. Does that conclude your comments, Councilman? Thank you. Madam Clerk, may we call the roll?
I have a motion to approve made by Vice Mayor Pinero, seconded by Councilwoman Porras. Vice Mayor Pinero?
Yes.
Councilwoman Porras?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cabral?
Yes.
Councilman Precor?
Yes.
Mayor Fraga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, next item on the
Next
agenda.
item, Madam Mayor and Council members, we are going back to the consent item, which was pulled. Item 6A. I'll read it into the record. A resolution of the Mayor and the City Council of the City of Doral, Florida, approving an agreement with Florida International University to produce an update on the City of Doral economic analysis produced by the FIU George M. Perez Metropolitan Center in 2017 in an amount not to exceed $50,000. Authorizing the city manager to execute the agreement and expend budgeted funds from account number 001-4005-500-310 on behalf of the city, providing for implementation and providing for an effective date. This was pulled by Mayor Fraga.
Thank you. I just have a quick question through the manager, if we can get economic development.
Yes, ma'am. Manny, if you can please come up to the podium, we'd appreciate it. And Julian Perez is also with us, which is now
Yes.
overseeing economic development as well. It's okay. They're both here and they did a great job, and I think this is a great item.
Thank you, Madam Manager. Mr. Pila, nice to see you.
Good morning, Mayor. Great to see you, and Vice Mayor, members of the council, of course, and administration. Thank you for this opportunity to discuss this item.
Yes, this is a great item, and I was here in 2017 when we did the initial study. Completely in favor of updating this. However, I would like to see a report on what recommendations were implemented. As I reviewed this report, there was a lot of great recommendations, and I'll be honest, just kind of looking back, I think we need to use this not only, and I see that this agreement is through September 2023.
Yes, ma'am.
So really, we won't be able to use some of these recommendations in our strategic plan until 2024, which is unfortunate. However, there is a lot of recommendations that were made here that I don't believe we implemented unless there's something that I missed. So can you talk a little bit about the implementation of this report? Because $50,000, it's great for the city to do these reports and update them and have them, but unless we put them to work after, they're useless.
Absolutely, Mayor. Yes, there were a very wide-ranging group of recommendations that came from FIU. Definitely, some of them were easier to implement than others, and some of them we were able to implement quite easily, not only by here internally, but also by working with partners that we have, where some of these things were really put into place without it really costing us anything through those partnerships. There were some very high, big ticket items, particularly related to housing, that really were a heavy lift that have been that were discussed with the council and with the administration, but were not moved on because really of the cost, and many of them really required some major additions of personnel and some major changes, particularly to the housing and creation of a affordable housing trust fund. So many of these things, such as the recommendations for more branding, for addition of some staff, for working with partners, for performance metrics dashboards, for working with industry clusters, and working with grants. Some of those things we did internally, and some of those things were things we were able to accomplish by working with organizations like the Beacon Council that can bring some of those loans or some of those grants to bear on some of those types of businesses and target industry clusters that we wanted to attract here. A lot of those do go through the Beacon Council and Career Source and come to the Miami-Dade County Commission for approval, even though they may come under a name that is a project name, such as Project Phoenix or something like that, so that the information does not come out before those companies are ready to disclose that they're coming here. But I'd be happy to make a report to show you what has been done, and some of those things that we hope we may want to consider. And of course, another reason that some of these things weren't implemented was COVID changed a lot of things and really put a lot of things, even including this update, on a bit of a back burner. We did hope to do this last year, but COVID really became a game changer, and we really wanted to capture the difference between the 2017, the era before, versus where we are, now. And going through the changes that the pandemic brought about creates opportunities and issues that perhaps weren't there or weren't as prevalent at that time. So we did want to look at this now and see this as a great opportunity to see where we're at, what has changed, and where opportunities are. Are these same sectors the sectors we want to approach? Are they the same problems? Some of them may be the same problems, some of them may be exacerbated, and others, the private market may have actually helped. So we thought it was very important before kind of moving forward on some of these larger big ticket items to bring to you, that we're able to have this study, this update, to discuss it with you, of course, with the council, and then eventually to move forward with an economic element based upon the new conditions that we find ourselves in.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Pila. I appreciate that, and I think that there's definitely value in having this, but again, my focus is making sure that there's implementation after that. There is something as simple as recommendation number 10: aggressively expand local networking and B2B programs. I was here for a lot of that time. I mean, I know everybody, and this is no offense, please don't take it that way, but everybody likes to blame COVID for a lot of things. It's like the thing we mention every time we have an excuse. But this report came out in August of 2017. This was way before COVID. Mm-hmm. So, there's, I think, a lot of easy implementation strategies that there was a part of this that we have the opportunity to move forward on, incentivizing the creation of new business opportunities, creating an incubator program. So I think that there's a lot of easy things that the city has access to resources for. Doesn't necessarily mean the city's resources, yes, that we can tap into and do. And so I don't want to wait a year to wait for the new study to implement some of these things. So I think we need to have a discussion about it. Okay. When it comes to the housing policies, Doral is at a point where we're going to see some redevelopment, and that is not necessarily residential, but that is also redevelopment of our industrial and business sectors. And so that we have a great opportunity to use some of these points that are being recommended here to incentivize and to ask of our development community. And so my question is, have we met with the development community with this report and said, if you're coming to do housing, how much of the workforce are you giving us? How much of what this report is asking us for, are we implementing? Because again, it's great to say we did this report and have these resources, but if we don't implement them into our strategies and into our growth, then they're not good for anything. So let's make sure that we have a meeting set up, that we discuss through the manager's office, if that's okay, that we discuss how we can implement some of these easier check marks that we can get off to implement from this report, so that when we're ready for the new report, we know how we're going to implement those into our 2024 strategic plan and how we'll implement them moving forward to be a benefit to our community. Otherwise, we spend $50,000 of our city's resources without having a larger benefit in return.
Yes, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other questions for economic development from my colleagues? No? Do I have a motion? Oh, I'm sorry. The manager, I think, has a question.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, I just want to heard your comments, and we will, some of the items on the report we can actually bring now to the strategic planning, just to have something in there from what was done in 2017. So I'll ask Manny and Julian to put something together of things that are more implementable now for 2023 and 2024. So we'll do that. Thank you, Mayor, for bringing this up. Thank you, Manny.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think Vice Mayor Pinedo had a question. You are recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. No, I just want to make a quick comment. Well, first of all, to say thank you, Manny, because you have been here for a good number of years, and economic development has been taken to another level at this point. So I thank you for what you do for the city. I mean, we certainly see the difference. I want to echo the mayor as well in regards to certainly it's not because the $50,000 is more about what is actually implemented after we have the study. I mean, I remember the one that we had back in 2017, I believe, and there were recommendations in there in regards to our traffic situation, for example, and traffic is not getting any better in the city. So there were recommendations about future approvals of development projects, and again, are we following those guidelines? I mean, we're following those recommendations. So I think that if we say certainly we're committed to this, we need to make sure that to do everything possible to follow the recommendations of the people that have the experience and again, it's FIU. I mean, it's not any university, so we should follow their recommendations. So I just wanted to thank you, and certainly if we move forward on this, certainly you can count on me to make sure that we follow those recommendations. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, Mayor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Any other comments? Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Vice Mayor Pinedo, second by Councilwoman Porras. Madam Clerk, please call the question.
I have a motion to approve made by Vice Mayor Pinedo, seconded by Councilwoman Porras. Vice Mayor Pinedo?
Yes.
Councilwoman Porras?
Yes.
Councilman Corvée?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cabral?
Yes.
Mayor Fraga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item on the
Mayor's
agenda.
report.
I don't have any reports. The only thing I would ask is, Madam Manager, I would kindly request that we get an update on the Parks Bond from our project management team, ACON, at the February 8th council meeting in the evening. I think it's important that we're brought up to speed on Doral Central Park and also questions that I have on on existing projects that may have been closed out already or are pending closing out. So I'd like a full update on the council meeting for February in the evening.
Absolutely.
That is all for my comments. I do not have anything else in this meeting. Madam
Do
Clerk?
have.
Oh, for council comments, correct?
Council comments.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councilman Oscar Puig-Corvette, you are recognized.
Thank you. I want to congratulate our building department officials who were recognized by the South Florida Building Association. Vince Sejas was awarded the 2022 Member of the Year. Felix Pausa, the 2022 Inspector of the Year. Danilo Brito was awarded 2022 Plants Examiner of the Year. Mark Romero, our roofing inspector, congratulations on passing his CGC. And Paul Mayton for serving our city 18 years. Thank you for being here that long. We thank you so much. So that's it for my report. That concludes. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other council comments?
I do have.
Councilwoman Cabral, you are recognized.
I wanted to address a few things. First of all, I want to congratulate our new city manager. I'm really looking forward to work with you. I know that we have worked in the past when you were the other park director, and I didn't have any issues with the other work that you were doing at that time. And you know that that's something that I always we brought up into the day as and also when we had the conversations, you and I, with the city manager at that time. So I congratulate you for that. I mean, we know each other since 2008 when my kids started at the parks and we're doing sports, and we used to be volunteers also with the other parents. That actually gave me the opportunity to meet our former mayor and our lieutenant governor at that time when she, was starting to run for office as a state representative at that time. So congratulations, and like I said again, I'm looking forward to work with you. I know that you're a great asset also to our city, and I'm grateful for that. Another thing, I want to clarify that at the time that I excuse, and I want you also to know, and the rest of the community, that when I excuse myself, it has nothing to do with you for being part of our city or to vote, not to vote for you. At that time, something came up from my job, and my presence was essential to be able to resolve the issue that was going on at that time. And anyway, we had quorum. So my vote were not in any shape or form, we're going to alter the outcome for you to be part of this team. So I wanted to that. Also, in another hand, I also didn't appreciate the disrespectful comments and gestures that were done after I left. And that's something that I don't appreciate. Also, if there's any comments or any issues that anyone had here in the dais after I left, couldn't even reach me in an email, or at least to have, if they have any concern, as a courtesy to me. I also wanted to share with the rest of the council, especially with our mayor, a research study that was made many years ago, and I know the city clerk has the copy that I gave you, so you can share as well, where I know that this is something, but I just wanted to make sure, because I think that our legislator that been here for over 2 years was asked to remove the plants that they have on the window, something that, as you will know from biology elementary, the plants need photosynthesis, and for that it has to be under the sun. So it's something small, but I just wanted to see for them to know the benefits, that it reduce stress on the research, also help to improve health in the employees and things like that. So, I mean, I really think, Mayor, that we have to focus on relevant things than rather just the plans of the employees and have them to remove them when it's something that are being a token of appreciation, many of them for us and for them, and that I have brought it from their home. My grandfather always said, and that's something that I wanted to share with you, that the truth does not need to be defended. The truth defends itself. And one of the things is that on the reason that I did not came on the celebration of the swearing, it has nothing to do with any of the ones that were elected. It was mainly because of the negative comments that has been said during and before election, and I was not going to put my family to go through that during the celebration, that people will shout or say negative comments that didn't have any funded reason for them to go through. Anyway, I was already swearing, and that was the main reason why I didn't came. And that goes hand with the Vice Mayor. Thank you so much for the flowers that you sent. And I wanted to say it here publicly, because I don't want later on any disrespectful comments made to my persona or unfounded rumors, as it has been done in the past. So I just wanted everybody to know that you were the one who sent me flowers too. So thank you for that here publicly. So that concludes my comments, because I know that there being some even for the news, the reporters that had contacted me asking me why I had to leave from the dais at the time that our city manager, madam manager, was brought into the agenda, your item, for you to be, for us to recognize, to approve, and also the comments on why I didn't show for my swearing celebration.
Any other council comments?
Mayor.
Yes, Vice Mayor,
Ju-
you are recognized.
Thank you. Just for clarification as well, and for Councilman Oscar Puigno to feel bad about it, I also sent flowers to the mayor and to Councilwoman Porras. So, and because you were not in the election cycle, so don't feel bad about it.
Otherwise,
okay?
you would have gotten flowers.
I'm looking forward to my,
Otherwise,
to my
I would have sent
flowers
you
in 2
flowers.
years.
So yes.
Any other council comments? No? Okay, Madam Clerk, next item.
City Manager's report.
Madam Manager, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no report at this time, but just wanted to thank the council for yesterday on my swearing in. It was a beautiful ceremony. I really appreciate each and every one of you. You have my word that we will move forward and that we will work hard. And our team here with the city, our department heads, our staff, our police department, that we're going to continue to work hard and make sure our city continues to shine. Just wanted to tell you thank you for all of you being here. That meant a lot to me. I appreciate that. And so that's about it as far as city manager report.
Thank you, Madam City Manager. Madam Clerk, next item.
City Attorney's report.
Mr. City Attorney, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, good morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, City Clerk, and City Manager. I want to welcome the new interim attorney and assure the council that my office will work to make it a very efficient and seamless transition. And thank you for this concludes my report.
We know it. Thank you, Mr. Figueroa.
Thank you,
Any other, Madam Clerk? Excuse me. Next item on the agenda is your item.
City Clerk's report. I have nothing to report. My report is attached as a backup for your information.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item on the agenda is adjournment.
Yes, ma'am.
Motion to adjourn.
Can I get a second? Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Order. The time is now 6:01. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Oscar Puig Corvée.
Here.
Councilwoman Maureen Porras.
Here.
Councilwoman Digna Cabral.
Present.
Vice Mayor Rafael Pinedo.
Present.
Mayor Christy Fraga.
Present.
Mayor of quorum.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Vice Mayor Pinedo will lead us. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there any additions or deletions to this agenda?
No, ma'am.
Okay. We will now open the public comments section of this meeting. If you are here to speak on any item on the agenda, now would be the time to do so. If you are not signed up to speak or do not have an item on the agenda that you would like to speak about, please come up to the podium and state your name and address for the record. Please make sure you sign up with one of these cards and hand it to the clerk. I have no written cards. Is there anybody in the member of the public that would like to speak at this time? We will close public comments at this time. Madam Clerk, next item on the agenda.
We're now going into the public hearing items. Item 20A, second reading, ordinance number 2022-22, encumbrance carry forward amendment fiscal year 22-23. An ordinance of the mayor and the city council of the city of Doral, Florida, providing for an encumbrance carry forward amendment, increasing the general fund budget for fiscal year 22-23, increasing the transportation fund budget for fiscal year 22-23, increasing the park impact fee fund budget for fiscal year 22-23, increasing the police impact fee fund budget for fiscal year 22-23, increasing the people's transportation plan CITT fund budget for 22-23, increasing the building technology fund budget for fiscal year 22-23, increasing the building fund budget for fiscal year 22-23, increasing the public arts program fund budget for fiscal year 22-23, increasing the American Rescue Plan Act fund budget for fiscal year 22-23, increasing the capital improvement fund budget for fiscal year 22-23, increasing the Parks Bond Series 2019 capital project fund budget for fiscal year 22-23, increasing the vehicle replacement fund budget for fiscal year 22-23, increasing the Parks Bond Series 2021 capital project fund budget for fiscal year 22-23, increasing the stormwater fund budget for fiscal year 22-23, and increasing the pension fund budget for fiscal year 22-23, providing for severability and providing for an effective date. This was approved on first reading on October 26.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We will now open up the public comments for this item since this is a public hearing. Is there any comments on this item from the public? Seeing no comments, I will close the public sector of this item. And staff, there's a staff report.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a proposed ordinance on second reading, amends the FY 2022-2023 budget, ordinance number 2222-19, to appropriate fund balance for the encumbrance of carry forward details at fiscal year ending September 30th, 2022. Recognizing encumbrances brought forward. The needs arise because it's certain programs, expenditures which were funded from which commitments were made in fiscal year 2021 and 2022 were not included in the budget year, and this is carrying this forward. It's a housekeeping item on second reading. If you have any specific questions, I do have our acting CFO readily available.
Thank you, Madam Manager. Is there any comments from my colleagues? Being none, do I have a motion?
To approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Councilman Oscar Puig Corve, sorry, and Councilwoman Cabral. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Motion to approve ordinance number 2022-22 on second reading made by Councilman Puig Corve, seconded by Councilwoman Cabral. Councilman Puig Corve.
Yes.
Councilwoman Cabral.
Yes.
Councilman Porras.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Pinero.
Yes.
Mayor Fraga.
Yes.
Motion passes.
And that is what concludes our meeting for today.
Yes, ma'am.
To
Quick.
adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
That was quick.
Oh, you're right.